Good day, everyone. I am Princess Gallardo, and today we will tackle the last part of the SAGE Handbook of Qualitative Research Design, focuses on designing qualitative research for impact with 5 chapters. So, before we start, allow me to give you a background about those 5 chapters, which is first, impact driven qualitative research and evaluation. Second, reclaiming qualitative design for the applied disciplines. Third, designing qualitative and mixed methods evaluation for transformative impact. And fourth, designing indigenous qualitative research for policy implementation. And lastly, diversity, ethics, transparency as continuing challenges in designing qualitative research. So the first topic or the first chapter discusses the distinction between basic, applied, and evaluation research as well as the concept of purposeful sampling in this context. The second chapter is about qualitative research in applied science by Thorne, chapter 71 in this handbook, and aiming at a maximum potential for relevance, significance, and impact on the substantive issues. And jump and let's jump to the last topic, which is the final chapter. In this part addresses indigenous qualitative research for policy implementation, again in the context of evaluation. And that is the brief background of the topic. Now let's proceed. To begin with, the first topic is the impact driven qualitative research and evaluation. So, what is qualitative inquiry for impact? As described by Patent 2015, it focuses on generating results that can be utilized to improve the world or a specific part of it. The purpose of such inquiries is to articulate the desired impact and goals. Also, it determined by commissioning parties and intended users, shapes, design, data collection, and analysis. Examples from the 2020 coronavirus pandemic illustrate this concept. Now let's proceed to the levels, types, and scopes of impact. Impact addresses long term social, environmental, and economic effects of interventions OECD or DAC 2019. Unlike basic research, which seeks knowledge for its own sake, impact driven qualitative research aims to improve lives and society. As you can see in the table 70.1, it highlights the relationship between inquiry questions, intended impacts, and user using examples from the coronavirus pandemic. And to read all the inquiry questions, intended impacts, and users, you can freely pause the video. Now let's further explore distinctions between basic, applied, and evaluation research. First is basic science. What is basic science? It is a studies how viruses affect the human body in spread. Qualitative inquiry in infectious diseases includes observing human tissue and documenting symptoms, as seen with COVID-19. Now let's proceed to the applied science. What is applied science? Applied science generates interventions from basic science. For the coronavirus, this led to recommendations for hand washing, wearing masks, and social isolations. Example, initial COVID-19 research revealed the virus' high contagiousness and asymptomatic spread, challenging early symptoms. Right, 2021. So, if in basic science it studies the virus, in applied science, on the other hand, it generates interventions or solutions from the basic science or from the problem of the studies in basic science. Now let's proceed to the evaluation science. What is evaluation science? Evaluations assess intervention effectiveness and compliance with measures like social distancing and mask usage. It utilizes interviews, observations, and hospital records to improve programs. If in basic science it studies the virus, in applied science it generates interventions or solutions, in evaluation science it assess the intervention or the solution to improve its capabilities. For example, in social distancing, in homeless. There are four types of evaluation signs: the summative evaluation, formative evaluation, developmental evaluation, action research evaluations. Let's define those four types. First, the summative evaluations. Summative evaluations checks if a solution works. As what I've said a while ago, for example, social distancing for homeless. And for the formative evaluation, it improves policies during implementation. For example, feedback for online teaching. And now let's move on to development evaluation. It develops new approaches. For example, online curriculum and internet access issues. And lastly, the action research evaluation. It solves urgent problems. Example, addressing PPE shortages in hospitals. And that is the type of evaluation research. Let's proceed to the units of analysis. These signs specify the units of analysis, which can be individuals, groups, parts of programs, or entire programs. Different units requires different data collection and focus. For example, COVID-19 revealed health disparities by socioeconomic status. Qualitative analysis considers program units holistically. Useful units depend on the inquiry's purpose and what findings are needed. Unit of analysis is the purposeful sampling. What is purposeful sampling? Purposeful sampling selects cases that provide valuable insights. It focuses on small, specific samples to gain deep understanding. For example, studying selected poor families can reveal a program's effectiveness in reaching low-income groups. The sample aligns with the study purpose and questions, such as those during the coronavirus pandemic. The purposeful sampling, which is a type of unit of analysis in qualitative research. And that concludes our discussion, which is the impact-driven qualitative research design and evaluation. Remember, choosing the best qualitative design depends on the study's purpose, audience, available funds, context, researchers' perspectives, and intended impacts. Also, the design process involves planning and implementing an impact-driven inquiry, considering context, resources, and purpose to achieve useful events. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something.
Hi, I am Shaina Joy Dear Compilation. Now, we will going to talk about defining qualitative and mixed method evaluation for transformative impact. Defining transformative impact. Before you can measure how much change a program makes, you need to clearly define what kind of change you want to see. It's not just about achieving a goal, but about how that goal changes things for people. Example, imagine a program that wants to improve health. Instead of just saying better health, a transformative impact could be something like communities taking control of their own health by making long-term changes to their habits and influencing policy decisions. Choosing qualitative methods, the why and how. Qualitative methods are great for understanding the reasons and processes behind change. They help us understand people's experiences and perspectives. Tools like interviews, focus groups, observation, document analysis, case studies. Incorporating quantitative methods. Measuring the change. Qualitative methods tell us how things change, but quantitative methods help us measure how much change happens. The power of combining mixed methods, combine qualitative and quantitative data to get a more complete picture of the impact. Strategies like sequential explanatory, sequential exploratory, concurrent triangulation, and concurrent embedded. Data analysis and interpretation, making sense of the data, analyzing both qualitative and quantitative data requires careful thought. Tools like thematic analysis, statistical analysis, and integration. Reporting and dissemination, like sharing story and making it accessible. The summarization of all of these are transformative impact is about deep, lasting change, how a program changes people's lives, communities, and systems. Qualitative methods help us understand the why and how of change. Quantitative methods measure how much change happens. Mixed methods combine both types of data for a complete understanding. Reporting share the findings in a clear and accessible way to make a difference.
Hello everyone. Today we will explore an essential topic which is designing indigenous qualitative research for policy implementation. Designing indigenous qualitative research for policy implementation. Introduction, people, our rights to tell our own stories and founded in our sovereign status. As first people of the land, however, qualitative research, when designed by and for indigenous communities, can survive as a powerful tool for self-determination, cultural presentation, and policy advocacy. Who is indigenous? This indigenous identifying is not solely about blood, but also about cultural connection and self-definition. A right is that must not be dictated by external force. In example, Kaya's experience demonstrates the complexity of indigenous identity. While his heritage remains unchanged, his self-identification shaped from rural village life, deeply connected to his community and land, to urban life where that connection feels less relevant. Indigenous people navigate both their cultural world and the Western world, often facing comprehension the colonial norms. Colonization remains ongoing, shaping indigenous experience. Declaration involves reclaiming research and knowledge to understand indigenous identity and dismantle offensive structure. Integrating indigenous and Western knowledge can create harmonious solutions rather than complex. Indigenous lead research have relied colonial narratives supporting sovereignty, cultural survival, and political citizenship. Now, my last discussion is all about policy or politics. In politics, there are three policy, which is universal policy, responsive policy, and indigenous policy. In, in universal policy, title to know culturally responsiveness. In responsive policy, culturally responsive. In indigenous policy, declaralize and sovereign.